Well, we have a little guest. Yeah, Bubba. Yeah, Bubba. Say hi. Say hi to the camera. Look. Say hi, camera.
Tiffany TV. Tiffany TV. Tiffany TV. Tiffany TV. Tune in Monday. Tune in on Tuesday. Tune in on Wednesday. Tune in on Thursday. Tune in on Friday. Through the weekend. Oh, Tiffany TV. Tiffany TV. Tiffany TV. Tiffany TV.
I am going to try to do this quickly because the baby is napping. Kevin just left for work, so I gotta get this in quick. Sleep training. It has been one of the best things for us now. I said this already on Instagram. I originally and initially, I didn't want to sleep train him. I had no interest in sleep training. The reason that I did is because, Ever started out sleeping with us. We had a bassinet that we were going to let him sleep in. He was not sleeping well at all. We wound up having to hold him to keep him calm. And then he wound up sleeping in the bed with us. So we co-slept up until about 6 months. And he was doing really well. He had nights where he was sleeping 8 hours, 6 hours. He was doing really well. We hit the 4-month sleep regression, and after the 4-month sleep regression, he never really fully got back to sleeping those 6 to 8 hour stretches. So we were spoiled for no good reason. And he actually started sleeping down to every 2 hours and waking up, and that was exhausting. But I was okay. Then he got down to I think it was I want to say every 45 minutes to an hour, and we thought it was just a leap or something he was going through, but it was happening more consistently than good nights of sleep. I'm sorry, you keep seeing me look this way. I'm actually watching him on the monitor. I'm watching him on the monitor right now. But yeah, so there were more sleepless nights than there were good nights. Now, he would get tired around 6:37, and especially now it's still light outside. Even in the winter, we don't go to bed that early. We are definitely a little bit of night owls. It's changed a lot since I became a mom. I'll go to bed around 10 o'clock now, 9, 10 o'clock. That's early for me. But he would get tired around that time, so he would get cranky around that time. As we came along, I started to put him to bed earlier and earlier. Before, it was literally no lie, he would go to bed with us. So even if he fell asleep down here, we would lay him down. He'd fall asleep maybe around 8, 9. He'd fall asleep, and then we'd take him upstairs and put him in the bed. And then it got earlier and earlier that he would fall asleep or get cranky. And earlier that I would have to go sit in the room with him, or somebody had to be in the room with him. Usually me. Wouldn't even stay asleep. In the beginning, he was staying asleep. Then recently he stopped sleeping so much, and he would wake up. And I know it's because, Kev would come in and out of the room. I would have the TV on because I'm not ready to go to sleep at 8 o'clock when I'm laying him down to go to sleep. I'd have my phone in the bed sometimes, or my laptop trying to get something done. So I just know all the blue light and everything was just disrupting his sleep pattern. I know that for a fact. So I look back now and I'm that he wasn't sleeping. He was cranky during the day. He was having he needed all of our attention. The only time to keep him calm was putting him in front of the TV or entertaining him the whole time. There was no independent play at all. He was irritable, and it's crazy because within the first 2 days of sleep training, we seen a complete difference. So once I realized he really wasn't sleeping like that, I reached out to Steffi from Jolie Sleep, and we scheduled a consultation. And in the first consultation, I let her know, I filled out a form, and I let her know that I'm not comfortable with letting him cry it out or anything like that. I would love if he didn't have to cry at all, but I think that's unrealistic. And I say that because, as I said in the last video, he was used to either being breastfed to sleep or bounced by Kevin. So only once in a while would he lay down and fall asleep on his own. We were so happy when that happened, but that was not the norm. I knew he was gonna have some, what she calls protesting. He was gonna have some protesting where he's give me my boob or put me on my daddy's chest, one or the other. So she let me know once we had our consultation, FaceTime, our Zoom call, she let me know that he will cry, but we're not gonna leave him by himself. I'm still gonna comfort him. I'm still gonna be there. And that's exactly what happened.
Sleep training can be a little stressful for the parents, as it does take time and consistency. It is not just letting or simply letting your baby cry it out. That is not what we're doing here, but instead you're teaching your baby the all-important skill of learning to put himself down to sleep independently. Stop the crying does not mean that you're not meeting your baby's needs, right? And once he's able to put himself to sleep, like without relying on the nursing, he'll sleep a lot better and he'll be a lot happier throughout the day. You will notice the changes in his behavior, in his just emotions, and so will you. Like, you will be a lot happier with more rest throughout the night, and that also helps us be better parents and better support systems for our baby. And that's basically like what. Another thing would be to make sure that his room temperature is ideal. We want to make sure that it is at least between 68 and 72 degrees in there. Babies like to sleep on the cooler side. It just helps body temperature set in. We also, like, our body temperature drops when we fall asleep. Our bodies like to be cooler, and so do babies. So usually, like, their hands feel a little cold and their nose or maybe their forehead feel a little cold, but once his chest is warm, his overall body temperature is fine and you shouldn't worry. Okay, yeah, so we want it to be so dark that you can't even see your hand in front of you if you're standing in there. That's how dark we want it to be. That's how dark it was in your tummy, and that's what he's used to, right? Light is so stimulating to the brain, and just a little bit of light sipping into his room triggers his brain that it's time to wake up. Babies love to know what is going to happen next. It helps them to just not be anxious, and that is what may cause, the anxiousness may cause short naps and difficulty falling asleep. So having a nice routine to transition from one thing to the next helps your baby a whole lot and sends cues to your baby's brain to help prepare their little bodies for sleep, for both nap time and bedtime. And I like to say that for the first night, since it's different, it's a whole different process for him, that you give him as much support as you can to just help him get to sleep. You can talk as much as you want. You can pat him as much as you want. You can rub him as much as you want on the first night to help him out. If he is crying, then you can go ahead and shush him and pat him until he's calm. Once he's calmed down, you would remove your hand away from him to allow for him to fall asleep on his own. But if the crying starts back, then you go ahead and revert to what you were doing before. Continue to shush him and pat him until he is calmed down again. Over the course of several nights, you will slowly win back the physical assistance and provide only verbal assurance, right? So if he's doing well without the shushing and the patting, you can sit in the chair and just, whisper to him, but it's night time. Repeat your good night phrase, tell him that you love him until he falls back asleep.
So I had put it off for a little while because our schedules are crazy, so I wanted to do it at a time where I knew we could be consistent. Then it was like 3 days in a row where, Kev had to leave for work and he was not sleeping at all. And it was a weekend. And I remember it was like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He just did not sleep those nights at all. He just kept waking up and I was exhausted. And I just decided to start. I was like, you know what? Let's go. What's the worst that can happen? Like, if I don't get sleep tonight, I wasn't getting sleep anyway. And so before Kevin even got home from his work trip, I put the blackout curtains up and, I fed him, made sure he was fed, laid him down, and the guidance is he's going to cry, but, let him talk to him, let him know I'm there. And I did that. It was brutal. I will say that because, and I say that I'm trying to give you an honest feedback as a mom who's a nurturer, as a mom who is used to just picking him up. I don't want to hear him cry ever. It was hard. It was about an hour and a half of him crying. Again, never leaving him. When Kev came home, Kev came in the room. It was dark and we were both just sitting in there, just taking turns patting him and talking to him and letting him know he's okay. We're here. And then after an hour and a half, he fell asleep, and he stayed asleep for about 3 hours. And then I went in there, he woke up crying, I fed him, put him back down, he fell asleep by himself. And then he did that throughout the night. Then when he woke up, naps were a little harder, and naps are still a hard part to really get down pat. He's had his days where he does great, and days where he struggles a little bit. So if you start this, I just want you to know naps are a little harder. She will let you know that as well. But even with naps, I think he cried for like a half hour, and then he went down, took his nap. Now we're getting him on a 2 to 3 nap. I think we're trying to pull him back right now to a 2 nap a day regimen, and then he goes to bed at 7. But I say all of that to say it has been one of the most amazing things for us. To each their own. There are moms, I know moms that literally just literally play with their babies all day long, all attention on babies, and that's amazing. But for me, for Kev, we run businesses, and it is our livelihoods, and it is it's a part of what makes us us, and we have to have that balance. And so between hiring a nanny, and then even when the nanny's not here, on the days that I get to on the days that I have him by myself, like today he's napping and I get to film, you know what I mean? And then when he's up, I get to have all my attention there. So I do what I need to do while he's napping. I can answer my emails, I can film, I can do what I need to do, and then he's up and he has all my attention, you know what I mean? And I think that balance is important. It's super important for me. Again, that first initial hour and a half of him crying, and some babies might take longer, it's tough. But if you are like me, where you're not getting sleep, where baby is not getting sleep, and that is what was most important to me. Like, I know parents are tired. When you become a parent, there's a different level of tired that you hit, because you're so attentive to your baby and learning their sleep pattern, and with Ev, eczema, and there was gas, and then there's teething, all those things. You get tired, right? So I wasn't really worried about me. It was him. When he stopped sleeping, then I was like, okay, we got to do something, because I need him to sleep. And then, finding out all this stuff, like putting him in a dark room, a cool room, not interrupting his sleep. He's not hearing people come in and out. We put a white noise machine on for him, and he sleeps so much better. And his behavior throughout the day has been so much better. Like, he's just so much more pleasant and happy. These last few days he's been a little irritated. I believe it has to do with his teething. Every time I think his teeth are shifting, I see him doing this a lot, and he's crying. So I think right now they're shifting, but overall he's been such a much more happy baby. He's been a much more happy baby. He plays by himself, he plays with us, he's laughing. That matters to me. And I feel really bad, because I'm like, what I thought was the best thing for him, which was keeping him close to me, keeping him in my bed. I thought that's what we both wanted. I was depriving him of getting the sleep that he needed, because 9 times out of 10, parents are not going to sleep at 7 p.m. We were not shut down whenever he was going to sleep. Whether he was sleeping downstairs, down here, we got the TV on, the lights are on, Krim is barking, just a whole bunch of mess. So now, although my heart had to get used to him not being in my bed and watching him on this monitor, but he's getting the sleep that he needs. And this is the part where, as a parent, I'm like, I gotta do what's best for baby. And that's what I felt for me was best for him, was to get good sleep, get good stretches of sleep, and not be interrupted. For me and Kev, we feel like it's one of the best things that we have done. Now we're figuring out navigating, like when we have to go out. We just started him with swim lessons, so I'll keep you guys updated with that. I already took some footage last week. Swim is every Saturday at a certain time, so we got to figure out his schedule around that. And then also just things like, I want to go over my mom's house, or we want to go shopping, or we want to do anything, go out to a park. We would love to figure out things around his naps, but it's not always going to work that way, so we're figuring that out now.
Beauty. Yeah, the naps some days are inconsistent, and that is normal, because he's really not a robot, right? He's human, and there will be days that his schedule will be off, just like we have off mornings sometimes.
Right.
So that's normal too. It's just a matter of staying consistent and continuing to offer the nap, because we can only offer it, but he
doesn't want to take it.
Right.
Yeah, he's not going to take it.
Yeah,
so like I said, he's doing really good at nighttime. That has not been much of an issue at all. He's sleeping for last night. I think he did like another 6-hour stretch, which was, for us, amazing. I think we're down to like a steady, like 2 feeds a night, which is awesome.
Yeah.
When he first goes down, he stays down for like 3 to 4 hours. and then he wakes up and I'll feed him. He'll go right back to sleep, and then he'll stay asleep for a longer stretch. And then, of course, like I was mentioning to you, we've seen so much progress in like his behavior, in his attitude. He's so much more pleasant. Like usually he's just, I'm irritated, other than the eczema irritating him right now. He's usually so irritated, or was before, and we didn't know why, but now we know he probably was cranky and tired and like, or overtired, you know?
Right.
So it's good to see him like so much more pleasant and enjoying his days and his times up, you know. And again, like you said, they're human, they're not machines. So we're making our own little adjustments that work, you know, for Ev. And like I said, on the days that we've been out, those little broken naps, even though we're offering the nap, but those broken naps have served him well. He still stays in a pretty good mood. So yeah,
you should try to get at least one good nap.
At least one good nap. Yeah.
One of them. And then if he sleeps them, so much.
And I'm also figuring out leaving him with other people, and you know, them being able to keep up with his sleep routine. We really wanted to implement the sleep routine before we left for vacation, so that my mom could have a way easier time during the night. Oh, and the nighttime. When I was waking up every 45 minutes, I would put him on my boob and he would go back to sleep. 45 minutes, that's insane. How was I even surviving? That first night, I think he did like 3 or 4 feeding. We've weaned back. I think he's doing about two feedings right now. Like if he goes down at 7, he'll usually wake up around like 10 or 11, and then he'll wake up again at like 3, and then he's back up at 7. So yeah, like two feedings, 3 on the nights where he's a little irritated. But what we're doing now is, instead of me going in there, we're trying to get Kev to go in there and just nurture him back to sleep. And that worked last night. He went to sleep at 7. I fed him at 9:30 because he was crying. He was really irritated. I think it was his gums again. And then he woke back up at 1, and I think that's when Kev went in there, patted his back, talked to him, and he went to sleep. And then I didn't feed him until 4 a.m. So from 9:30 to 4 a.m. he was good. He slept. I was asleep. I got good sleep. I wasn't exhausted when I woke up this morning, so that's a good thing, right? And then he woke back up at 7. So 7 is his time to wake up. And yeah, I think that's everything. Now I'm gonna go to questions that people asked on Instagram to make sure that I cover everything. We have a little guest. He's just slept about an hour and 10 minutes, and then Kevin patted him back to sleep so he can get his full hour and a half. And he wound up sleeping an extra like 45 minutes or something. I think he just hit like a 2-hour mark. Okay, so how do you know when he wakes for comfort versus being hungry? So this is what we've determined. If he wakes up in the middle of the night and he wants to be comforted, well, when he wakes up in the middle of the night, the deal now is, if it's only been like 2 hours, I'm gonna send Kev in to try to pat him back to sleep. If he goes back to sleep within 5 to 10 minutes, usually it was just for comfort, and then he'll stay asleep for a while. So first of all, when he starts crying in the middle of the night, because I know he's used to being nursed back to sleep or being rocked back to sleep, I wait 5 to 10 minutes. Usually he's not crying hysterically, he's just making noises, he's tossing his head back and forth, he's trying to put himself back to sleep. So I'll wait 5 or 10 minutes. If he gets more hysterical, or if he starts hysterically crying, or if he cries past that 5 to 10 minute, and I say 5 to 10 minute because if he gets hysterical in those 5 minutes, I'm up. You know, as a mama, I think you start to know the difference between your baby's cries. So I know when he's crying and he's like distraught because something's going on, maybe pamper change, or he's hungry or something. Like I usually know when those things are happening. Look, Bubba, say hi. Say hi to the camera. Look, say hi, camera. Like right now, I think he did go to the bathroom, or he might have farted. Who knows? Because when I'm eating these solids now, jeez. I know that he wants to eat when he gets more hysterical in those 5 minutes, or if Kev goes in there and tries to soothe him and calm him, and he won't calm down. So that's our like mark, and then I'll get up and I'll just feed him and he'll go back to sleep. So yeah, I think just knowing your baby, knowing their cries, and I say that with a grain of salt because, you know, naturally when he cries, I just want to comfort him regardless, right? But if you are trying to sleep more through the night, then allowing him to learn to put himself back to sleep is crucial. And so, you know, I don't mind getting up for 1 or 2 night feedings at all, but we don't want him waking up every hour to 2 hours because that's, again, interrupting his sleep. So I'm trying to teach him to when he wakes up, he doesn't have to cry. Like, he can go back to sleep on his own. That's the goal. Okay, so that was one question. Second question, when did you transition ever to the crib? We just started this at, I believe he was already 7 months when we started. We started 2 weeks ago, so I can look at the exact date and put it here on the screen, but yeah, 7 months-ish. He slept with us before that. He was in our bed the whole time. And the only reason I transitioned him, not for age, but because, again, he was not sleeping. Each parent can, you know, decide what they think is best for their babies. This is what I feel is best for this little guy. Attempting this with my 4.5-month-old, how long is too long for them to cry? So I am not a sleep specialist, and also each mom, you know, do what you need to do. So I don't believe in letting him cry it out. What I see as crying it out is like me just leaving him, letting him fall asleep. I don't care how long it takes. He'll figure it out. He'll fall asleep, because babies will eventually fall asleep. But I am a true believer of, like, if he needs me, I need to be there. But if I'm just teaching him to get more sleep, because his interrupted sleep pattern is not good for him. So if it's like every hour and he's just whining, I will let him cry for 5 to 10 minutes. For me, I don't go past 10 minutes. I'll go in there then and comfort him, rub his back. And if he continues to cry for longer than 10 minutes at that point, then I'm like, okay, again, he's hungry, he needs a diaper change, or he's uncomfortable in some way, and then I'll comfort him for sure. But up until then, you know, because of the way that I am trying to get him to sleep a little bit longer and, you know, get longer stretches of sleep and be more rested, I try to let him put himself back to sleep, and he has. He's learned that. He's been getting longer hour stretches of sleep at night, and even when he wakes up from his nap, a lot of times he'll whine a little bit, he'll toss his head, and he'll go back to sleep. And that was amazing to us, because that was never a thing before. When he woke up, he was up until he got some boob or until somebody came in and assisted him. So I love that now he'll whine a little bit and he'll toss his head and he'll go to sleep. It tells me that nothing is really wrong with him. He just wanted what he was used to. And so, you know, we're changing what he's used to. What's wrong with you? Go. Yeah, Bubba. Yeah, Bubba. Does the sleep training also include help with daytime sleep? Yes, so I just spoke about that nap times. Yes, she coaches you in nap times. From our experience and what she warned us for, nap times are a little harder to get in place. I'm thinking just because it's daytime, you know, if they're not used to napping, you know, having them be up for 2 hours or so and then putting them down for a nap, it's something they have to get used to. He's way more used to it than when we began. You know, we're still figuring out what the best thing is for him and how to get him down. Like, now we can leave him in his room awake and he'll fall asleep for his nap. We can leave him in his room awake and he'll fall asleep for the night, which is crazy, because 3 weeks ago, never, no way possible. He would have screamed his face off. We've seen incredible growth, and the results for us have been amazing. Like, just getting him to nap during the day, you know, getting him down at a certain time, and still having our night where we can sit down here and have wine and just talk and watch our shows. Is like, that's amazing for us as a couple. And when we're here alone with him, to just have those breaks in between, and then again to have him be rested and to have him be pleasant, so good. How do you cope with the crying? I just want to cuddle my son. I know, girl, listen, I can't even give you advice on that. I don't cope. The one thing that I hold on to is that he's getting rest. Again, the reason I started this is because he was not sleeping well, and that was important to me. Like, he was getting no sleep, he was irritated, he was cranky, and so I hold on to the fact that he has to go through that crying in the beginning in order to get better sleep, in order to sleep a little bit better. So that's okay with me. Like, it was hard, don't get me wrong. I shed a tear in there because I just don't ever want to hear my baby cry. But I had to do something, because again, days in a row of him not sleeping, and he was just so irritable during the day. Everybody has their different reasons, so focus on what your reasoning is. I knew that I was not just letting my baby cry it out because I want him to be independent. You know, I want him to learn. It's like, no, I did it because he was not sleeping well, and I seen the effects of it. It just, all overall health-wise, it just was not good for him. So I want to make sure that he's rested and getting the sleep he needs. And that's what I did. I focused on that. And, you know, she'll tell you, like, we didn't pick him up in an hour and a half, and it was hard. Like, Kevin almost cracked. He literally turned to me and he's like, I can't do this. Like, he's about to scratch his face off. And that's because, you know, when he gets frustrated, he's like, you know, scratching at his face. You know, we almost cracked. We almost picked him up. But I just kept going back to, okay, Steffi, I heard Steffi's voice in my head, like, try not to pick him up. Because if he's cried for a half hour, you pick him up, he's going to think that that's going to happen every time. So he'll cry for a half hour next time, and it'll get louder, and it'll get worse, and it'll get more hysterical, and you'll become hysterical, and it's just a bad cycle. So leave him there and get through that, and see if it works. And again, I said, if it didn't work in like a day or two, if I saw no progress, if I felt like it hurt him, like it was worth trying, and it worked, within that first day we seen a crazy difference. Like once he fell asleep, he would sleep for 3 to 4 hours in his bed, in his crib, by himself. He was not even sleeping 3 to 4 hour stretches in our bed at that time. So yeah, he wasn't even sleeping like that with us in the bed. So that was major to us. We seen a difference immediately. Even the next day for his first nap, he cried for about half hour, but once he fell asleep, he would sleep for an hour and a half. Like, what? Never before. Never. His naps, we thought were good when he slept a half hour, maybe 45 minutes. I was like, yes, 45-minute break, you know what I mean? So to see him now sleeping for an hour and a half to 2 hours and waking up pleasant and ready to play, like not groggy, not life changer. So you guys only asked me a few questions, so I addressed those. If you have any more, please leave them below. Yeah, that was our experience on sleep training. I hope you enjoyed the videos. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I covered everything. Yeah, so again, I am not pushing sleep training on anybody. I just wanted to share our experience and how it helped us. Also, Ev does not sleep on his back. Steffi definitely suggests letting him sleep on his back for safety. Ever has not slept on his back since he was about 2 months. He has always slept on his stomach best, so we felt comfortable doing that, and that's what worked for us. As soon as we flipped him over on his stomach, he slept a lot longer, and that night, that hour and a half night, I felt like if we would have flipped him over a while, maybe earlier, he would have fell asleep quicker. That is our experience. I hope you enjoyed. I'm willing to answer any questions. Just remember, everything that's for other parents are not for you. It's not for you. It doesn't have to be for you. Sleep training may not be for you. Maybe your baby sleeps perfectly fine between you. Keep that baby in there. I wish I could have kept him in my bed a little bit longer. Do what works for you. Don't be shamed by any parents if you sleep train, if you don't sleep train. Do what's best for you. Okay? And so I am out now. I'm gonna go play with this baby. I need to make him some vegetables to eat. And yeah. And until next time, guys, keep living in love, in light, and in your truth. Mwah. Bye.